And for more on what federal aviation investigators will be looking out for, let's go to our next guest, Steve Wallace, former head of the FAA Accident Investigation Unit. Steve, thanks for joining us tonight. So we've heard a number of issues that may have led to this collision. The Army chopper flying too high, possible air traffic control staffing shortages. What are your thoughts on these contributing causes?
Well, as someone who's been in accident investigation for a long time, one of the first rules among professionals is we don't speculate until all the facts are ironed out. I guess I can speak to what I would consider to be the focus areas of the investigation, and they are things that are already discussed. Obviously, we've been having the discussions about the capacity limits of Reagan Airport and how they are pushed, and that for as long as I can remember, and of course the helicopter traffic and the unique proximity to restricted airspace and to military installations. So we're clearly going to have all those discussions again. I suspect there will be changes. And I think another thing that will be a focus area is reliance on simply visual separation, where a controller says to a pilot, can you see the aircraft and can you visually separate yourself from it? And the pilot says yes. But there isn't a way to know, I think, to an absolute certainty that the pilot who agrees to do that is looking at the right aircraft. Sure. You know what happened here. But I will say one thing that I think is important. We have all the evidence right here. This isn't Malaysia 370 went disappearing over the horizon, right. You know, impossibly difficult investigation 10 years ago. Now here we have two things. We have all the evidence, and we have the NTSB that is extremely methodical. I was at the FAA, but I worked closely with them. The FAA is a party to every accident investigation. And they are extremely methodical, extremely thorough. They're not in a hurry. They're determined to get things exactly, precisely right, but not to do it in any, and they used to take a long time. I suspect here the issue was called the finding of probable cause, and that is the official finding.
Steve, I do want to ask you about the recovered two black boxes from the plane, the flight data recorder and the cockpit reporter. I am curious what information that will help yield this investigation, but also the fact that the black box in the helicopter hasn't been recovered, which is probably a bit more crucial to the investigation. Would you agree?
Yes, I do agree, but I suspect that the boxes, they're orange actually, in the airliner will show that it was making a perfectly normal approach at the end, and the altitude. These airplanes typically descend into the runway at about, yeah, there you go, at about 300 feet per mile, and they. I suspect that it'll show that the airliner was making a perfectly normal approach.
So earlier today, the FAA has closed all routes near Reagan Airport to most helicopter traffic indefinitely. Do you think this closure should remain permanent?
I'm going to let the experts decide that when all of the facts of the investigation are clearly understood. I'm just not going to sit here and comfortable and offer my opinion on that. I think it was a good precautionary measure. Clearly, when there's a horrific accident like this, and we haven't had a U.S. airliner in a mid-air collision since 1978, and this is an absolutely horrific accident. And the government is fully determined to take whatever steps are necessary to make sure it doesn't happen again.
And there is an NTSB briefing in about 15 minutes. We will take it live. Steve Wallace, really appreciate the insight tonight. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
And thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.